The wait is finally over. The brand new Poppy Playtime Orientation Notebook is finally here. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a full breakdown showing you all the good juicy lore, secrets, and brand new content this book has to share. But keep in mind I will be missing out on like a lot of little details because most of them are probably not new, and because I don't want to just show the entire book for free. So if you want to experience to have the full experience of this book, I do recommend you to go and buy it for $12. I have a link in the description. It's not an affiliate or anything like that, but it's a good way for you guys to get it easily. I do want to say huge thanks to Jason. I hope I pronounced your name right. 120 Gaming. He contacted me. I left a comment saying he got his book and he was able to send me an early copy of the book. So I was able to make this video earlier. Not that early because it took me a long time to analyze every page since this book does have around like 144 pages. So yes, that's how this video coming a little bit faster than it would have had if the book would have just came out today. And it came out May 7th, my birthday. What a coincidence. Without further ado, let's go hop into the full analysis and just going over the full basics and what the book has to share with all of its different pages. But before I actually hop into that, you need to understand what this book actually is for. The book is meant to help explain the lore, the characters, and the whole Poppy Playtime universe to the reader without being confusing or hidden, like when you play the game and you have to find tapes or find papers. It's all in this book. No more hunting, nothing like that. They just give you the answers, which is just really good. And this is a whole line, like they said in the description of the book, filled with the lore straight from the game's creators, handwritten notes, incident reports, and so much more. In this in-world notebook is sure to delight fans of the hit horror game Poppy Playtime. It's really interesting how they put delight, like, Miss Delight, isn't it? As you guys can see, the first pages talk about copyright and all that stuff. Nothing really interesting here, and this is always in the first few pages. Now, the first actual page is probably the most interesting here. As you guys can see here, it shows the orientation notebook, and it shows a note by someone named PW. Now, this name's gonna come up a lot in this book, and it's the person writing the notes and saying their feedback and, just their own added content, I guess. So I received this book a few months ago. I was curious, so I read it cover to cover. This company is funny. In that way, only handing me a book like this a few years in, I still don't understand why they hired me, a biologist, to do research and development at a toy factory. They said I had exactly the skills they wanted, but they were vague about what exactly they wanted my skills for. I've been at Playtime a while now, and it turns out there's a lot of stuff they do here that isn't in the handbook, so I'm adding a few notes of my own. This company's not what they made it out to be. So yes, there's a whole bunch of different theories floating around, like Jason actually sending me the book. He has his own theory that PW is actually the player himself that we play as in Poppy Playtime, and to be fully honest, that would make pretty much sense why he's the one making this book. He's the one that left before the hour of joy. He's like the one employee left to possibly do this. It does make sense that it could be him, but like I said, it's an open book and just a theory. And really, pages 6 through 8 are just talking about the founder and how they kind of started the company, stuff that we already know. But page 9 is more interesting because it lets us know that the book is taking place in the 1980s. Because it says that we believe the 1990s will be our most successful decade yet. Like, yeah, keep telling that to yourself. Pages 10 to 15 are just employee guidelines, safety rules, the surveillance system, and a Boogie Bop poster. And of course, a Mommy Longlegs poster. There is, of course, a lot of posters in this book, but just to keep in mind that the posters, half of them are old ones with just one or two of the posters being new for this book. So of course I'm not going to show them all. Pages 10 to 20 was all about the meet the team, all the main characters in there. Talking about different characters like Elliot Lugwood, Leith Pierre, Stella Graber, Eddie M.N. Ritterman, I said Ratman, and Jimmy Roth. They're mainly just talking about what they did in the factory and of course PW's feedback. I'm just going to keep calling him PW, his feedback on the notes, and of course an old Huggy Wuggy poster. But one thing that was pretty interesting is how they say that Jimmy is of course a genius at convincing people that all his work is his own. Like, he likes to take credit for a lot of things, which wouldn't be interesting until they put that he's obsessed with putting an E sound at the end of the name. Yep, you heard me, guys. This Jimmy is the one that created the name, the most famous ones like Huggy, Mommy, Poppy. He's the one that put the extra E's at the end to make it sound like a Playtime Co name. Playtime Co wouldn't be the same without them, and it's really interesting to see how Jimmy kind of credits himself for doing that. So yeah, he's obsessed with doing it though, so that's pretty interesting. You know, I just want to bring that out there. Most of the rest of the pages are really just talking about the toy and the products, stuff that we kind of already know, just giving us more information on like toys like Huggy and stuff like that. Pages 22 to 23 talk about how popular Huggy was, which we already saw. And they're talking about, I guess, a quality test or checklist, how to make sure that your Huggy Wuggy, it has all the right standard up to quality. And of course, they mentioned on a note, PW, how Huggy Wuggy was a big part of the Bigger Bodies initiative, and of course he made a lot more notes on him later on. Also, the very first 24 pages of this book is free on Scholastic, if you're wondering, so yeah, that's also pretty lit, and half the photos I'm using from the book is thanks to Jason. I hope I'm saying your name right still too. The next 2 pages are really just about Kissy Missy and the mini Huggies, and how Kissy Missy was made in 1985 to be Huggy's better half, and how the mini Huggies are meant to just be a cheap way for kids to get the popular Huggy Wuggy toy with there being no limit of how many mini Huggies you're able to collect. Pages 26 to 29 is all about the Longlegs family, telling us information about Mommy, which we know we already kind of knew, but some with a little bit of new information, like what happened if one toy would break or snap, which is of course really interesting because like I never knew that Mommy Longlegs toys could snap with the way they're bendable and extendable, but it turns out they can snap and they would send you a free replacement, which is sadly no longer available. And he also gave us a little fun time fact, which is going to come up a lot within this book, saying that if you gathered every Mommy Longlegs toy sold since 1991 and tied their legs together, they would stretch all the way to the moon. But part of the chain would burn up in the Earth's atmosphere, so don't try it. They also mentioned how Daddy Longlegs was not a reskin and is actually a new mold, but an accident did happen in China where they made and mixed up the molding for Daddy Longlegs with, of course, Mommy Longlegs mold, making a blue Mommy Longlegs. So of course they had to sell those to China under a different name, being Lady Ice Spider. And we didn't want to do that again. And now I'm really curious, can someone please make a render of Lady Ice Spider? They also talked about Baby Longlegs, about how he doesn't have long legs, and he actually meant to have a feature where you feed him to make his legs grow, when they finally realized that was not possible and also was kind of disturbing. But just imagine this in chapter 4, guys. You see a little baby Longlegs and then it starts growing its legs after eating a toy. I'm picturing that scene right now. That's pretty disturbing, and I want to see that in chapter 4 actually. They also mentioned how all the Mommy Longlegs, or the whole Longlegs family, also came in a family set with all 3 of them, which we've never seen before, and I really want to see them. I really do hope that Longlegs family is a big part of chapter 4, but I guess time would only be able to tell. We just got this cool, Mommy Longlegs poster, which we've already seen before. Pages 30 and 31 are just talking about the Swap-A-Moles like Cappy and PJ Puggerpillars. Literally nothing new about these, all just about how popular Cappy was and how she was made by Jimmy Roth, and we just get some cool Cappy art. That's really it. But pages 31 and 4 through 41 is really interesting because this is all about the smiling critters. Now, like I told you, this is why things get interesting. And they also mentioned about the show, which is also really interesting, and how ambitious they were of all the smiling critters until the catnap controversy and kind of happened. We also talked about the, like I said, the cartoon of the smiling critters and how it was only meant to have 1 season because it was supposed to be launched with the launch of the Smiling Critters plushies. But of course, with the controversy of the Smiling Critters plushies, that made the show not do as good, but the show was still such a huge hit, still airing to this day. Even though it only had 1 season, I really do hope they make the rest of the episodes of these. And also, it still runs to this day in the time of the book, like the 1980s and early 1990s, if you're wondering. And also, they mentioned how some of the most popular Smiling Critters had their own movie. Yes, it was only 58 minutes, not really a full-on movie nowadays, but each of them would usually have their own movie if they're popular enough. Now, that is what I think is really interesting too, because we never knew that there was going to be 1 whole season, and we didn't know there were even movies out there showing how much more potential the Smiling Critters still have. I hope one day we're able to see a movie or anything, or find out who the Smiling Critter was that had a movie. So they never mentioned here what was the most popular one, but we know what the most popular ones is in the fan base, but we just don't know what the most popular one is in the game universe. Also, if you really want to read the small details, you could pause it all. Like I said, I'm skipping a lot of pages so you can actually buy the book and read it yourself. I'm not going to show the whole thing for free. But page 36 is definitely really interesting. Definitely, in my opinion, like the 3rd or 4th most interesting page in this entire book, because also it talks about the catnap killer. It shows a newspaper about the catnap controversy, nothing new. just a really cool new photo of the catnap plush that they actually made in real life for it. Looks still so game accurate and I want it. Just talking about the nightmares, different things like that. And so this is the kind of thing that led to catnap being taken off the market. So it was just one of the many things that led, because all the nightmares and of course the red gas. The rest are just the Smiling Critters descriptions that we kind of saw last year, you know, every single one of the descriptions. Nothing really new except for like little small information on each of them, talking about how Dog Day is kind of the polar opposite of catnap, how catnap doesn't like to talk, and how, you know, Dog Day is just so energetic. All of them have their own little extra detail that you definitely have to read the book to see. Nothing groundbreaking or new, just interesting new Smiling Critters news. And of course, PW has lots of notes on this, and you know, if you want to see those notes, you're gonna have to read the book. Here, they also showed that they had a bigger plan for the Smiling Critters, like to have more food branded snacks or Crafty Corn branded supplies, a Bobby Bear Hug branded family therapy service. They still had all those great plans until the company kind of sank, which of course all the monies, because, you know, catnap kind of made the company go down, and then they lost home some money, leading to, you know, the creation of the Bigger Bodies Initiative, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. The rest of some of the pages are about the heritage products like Poppy Playtime, Brawn, Boogie Bot, Candy Cat, Bunzo, you know, all the, I don't know if I even said heritage right, is that even it? Yeah, it is, like kind of like the starting toys that started Playtime Co. If you want to think about it, kind of like the OGs. It says Poppy and how she was made in 1990s, and there's still a secret to this day of how she actually worked. They made a sign, you know, they made PW sign an NDA to keep it a secret of what, of course, Poppy is, yet he still doesn't even know what she even is. And when asked, it's simpler than you expect, showing that yes, he doesn't know what Poppy actually is and how they actually made it to be a listening, communicating doll, and they said it's a lot simpler than you think, making us definitely all know that Poppy is just a soul, and every single one of these toys were a soul. And also how if the toys were breaking or anything like that, you have to send them into the store to fix, and you know, or else the warranty is just going to get cut off and you won't be able to fix it. And that led to a lot of people not wanting to tamper with their Poppy dolls, which is just really cool to see how they kind of talked about that. And he also mentioned how she was being sold for $5.99 back then, which sounds cheap, but is around 36 bucks in today's money, which is like what, the 1990s to 80s currency. So it could be around 40 to possibly even 50 or so bucks for that Poppy doll. You thought the Poppy Playtime plushies were expensive here, huh? It's technically the same price as Playtime Co, but getting the same Playtime Co experience, am I right? We heard more news and of course other characters like Brawn, but you know, not that much interesting stuff. But we do know that, of course, Boxy was discontinued and released in 1966 and was discontinued later on. They didn't say really how much later on. And it still says that they still don't know when he's going to come back, but that would explain why we don't see any toys around him anywhere except for, you know, Project Playtime. So sadly, Boxy was continued. Rest in peace, boy Boxy. They have a page. They had a page about the experiments, you know, the experiment 1199 process report, notes about the restricted restoration VHS tape, the one about Brawn that we already know. They just made pages about that, so, you know, nothing really new there. They had a Catnap and Bunzo page, but, you know, nothing really new there, along with this one photo of Boogie Bot that I think was used in like the whole NFT card thing. They just added Boogie Bot as a photo, and of course a little description about how he's new for Christmas and he came out in the year of 1993, showing that this book is still possibly taking place throughout the 1990s. So still really interesting to see how they keep switching up. So who knows if this was the same one tucked in the whole NFT stuff. Don't want to talk about that anymore. Hey, this is the halfway mark, and if you made it to this half of the video, I would like you guys to please go and subscribe. I wanted to hit 50,000 subscribers before May 7th, which is today, the time of recording this and uploading this, which is of course my birthday, but sadly it didn't happen. I was less than like 800 away. Hopefully the day would come where I hit 50k. Hopefully I may still. But yeah, if you made it to the halfway mark of this video, here goes a mini little teaser for my secret project I'm making. You know, just a little teaser, that's all you're gonna get. If you don't want to subscribe, you can always just like the video, continue watching the rest of the video, sharing it, commenting, because I always reply to all you guys' comments, watch me, and all of the above just really help me out. But sorry for taking more of your time. Please go and enjoy the rest of the video. And pages 48 through 51 is mainly all about the rejected toys like Sir Poops a Lot, Kick Me Paul, Daisy, Owen the Oven, Sunny Buddy, Surprise Hair, Pet Stone and the Barrel o' Huggies, which has no news on them, sadly. It's just talking about them exactly and also why they were taken down, everything we learn in chapter 2. The next page is really all about innovation and talking about Playtime Co., the experiments, and, all the innovation leaps that Playtime Co. took. And it has some of the page, of course, with notes by PW just talking about different things. We already seen page 54 before, talking about a separate experimental program handbook that he can't get his hands on or copy, and how the smiling critters are the reason why the Bigger Bodies initiative started, because the company went down in money and needed a new way to get employees to work, but cheap. So they made the toys, or kids, into toys, which became monsters or Bigger Bodies initiatives, so they could work around the factory for a cheap cost, so they could save money in the time that they needed it most. I also have a full entire video on this one page and of course 2 other pages, so don't forget to watch that video if you want the full in-depth theory and all that stuff, but really it's nothing new right now. They also have a page about the grab pack and how Elliot Ludwig made the grab pack, which I don't think we actually known, and also talks about a yellow hand that launches the user in the air. See, this is what's really strange to me when it talks about, of course, the yellow hand, because, like, doesn't the purple hand do that in chapter 3? So that's why I do feel like the purple hand was supposed to be the yellow hand, but then they switched it to a purple hand, but the book sadly didn't switch on that, because the purple hand launches you in the air. The yellow one doesn't, because there's no yellow hand right now, unless they're planning to make a different version of launches. Probably not. And also talking about a whole page about tours and how they're, available. And saying they had a whole meeting and tours that was planned, but of course got canceled for an emergency meeting that we do not know what it was on Friday, June 19, 1992 is a mystery, which we do not know what the emergency staff meeting was. And we got more pages about the tours of the factories and how they're able to tell visitors a different history of Playtime Co. on the train, and yet, of course, PW adds a note saying that which isn't exactly the same, since they keep telling them a twisted and different version of the history. Of course, the child-friendly, pre-G version, I bet. Pages 61 to 64 mainly just talk about the locations in chapters 1, the beginning, in the beginning. Then we also see 2 new security reports about Huggy Wuggy and the escape. I say 2 new. They're not really new, it's just a redo version of the restoration disappearance tape that we saw, the very first Huggy Wuggy one. It's literally just the exact same text on a security report. Pretty cool to see it in that form, but like I said, still, sadly, nothing really new. The next few pages talk about different areas around the factory, like storage, power rooms, conveyor belt networks, electricity installation, the make a friend room, stuff like that you've seen in like chapter 1 of the Poppy games. We also got another progress report about the prototype, but it's really nothing new. It's the same VHS tape we heard at the end of chapter 2, talking about how he made, he tore apart his clock or something like that and made it into a little light, and talking about how intelligent he was and how he's so valuable, but that's really all. They also had more pages based off the storage bay in chapter 1 and how many visitors don't really go there, and the flower room which Poppy's located in is one that no one's meant to see, but it's next to Elliot's office, so he's able to go and visit her time from time, which is pretty interesting how no one's allowed to go in a huge room painted with a flower on it. But yeah, that's also pretty cool to know. There's more pages about Elliot's office and how he was barely really around the office within the last few times before he died. He was just not even on the factory, like he was busy with something else. He became like kind of detached from it. And it's also different pages about maintenance closets, senior staff access halls in chapter 2, all the navigation rooms, which led to different areas like the game station or Playcare. And they also explain in this page that monster that Jacksepticeye saw in the tape in chapter 2, when he was talking about that whole long monster with so many long legs, how it was really just PJ Pugapillar that he saw. He said he described a creature described as 50 feet tall with 1,000 legs, which he's like, this isn't a totally accurate description of PJ Pugapillar, but we think that's probably what he saw. So it's really interesting how chapter 2 was just leading up to PJ's reveal so good, but all of us just never really picked up on that. It's finally cool to see what that monster you were talking about was and how it was PJ after all this time. Pages 82 to 85 just talk about things like secondary power rooms and how to use the grab packs, the game station and how the employees can't really take breaks there and they can't play the game that's meant for kids, for obvious reasons. We also got 2 progress reports about Mommy Longlegs and how the monster came first and to take care of the Playcare, and then they made a toy, just to make it more friendly with the kids. So they want to see a toy, then they can see a bigger body's version of the toy. But we already learned this all from Project Playtime, except for like one or two small little infos, but mainly, we already saw half of this in Project Playtime in the menu screen about Mommy. In pages 89 to 97, it's talking about how, musical memory, PJ Hugapillar statues, Wacka Wuggy, the molding room, the rejection room. It shows us how all those different rooms work. Some memo pages from the rejected room in chapter 2, just made in a page. Pages 98 through 104 just talk about distant instructions for things like, or instructions just for electricity, things what had to do if there's an emergency, info about the water treatment room, what to do in the water treatment room, and also the rooms C2 and C4 rooms, along with a cool photo of Bunzo. Pages 105 and 111 just talk about the C2 rooms with the Bunzo product lines, all those little different Bunzos in chapter 2, and also have this cool poster here. I think it's new, I never seen it before, but you guys could let me know. You also have info for the incineration room along with the grinding room, and page 111 or 111 talks about the sewer system, Bay 9, and the train station, all in one go. Pages 112 through 115 is really all about Playcare, and just talking about all the different stores they have there, like the toy store, Home Sweet Home, stuff like that, the school experiments, but had the most interesting, in my opinion, the most biggest page here. First, we could definitely see this image saying, I don't like Catnap, his friends, I see him everywhere, I can't escape him. It's a cool little artwork here, nothing really new, but what's more interesting is that it's a new note or stuff on top of different notes, which is just really interesting to see. Like I said, what is definitely in my opinion, the process reports page 1 and 2 are the most interesting pages in the entire book, talking about, spoilers alert, the Bigger Bodies initiative for Bobby Bear Hug, the bigger body version. They go into definitely interesting details of how Bobby just randomly spasms, or eyes flutter or fluster, paws twitch, how Bobby could try to scream, but nobody be able to hear Bobby scream. Like, she tried to scream, but she had no voice. She's silent. I'm not sure if she knows she's not making any sound. And of course, it ends it off really also letting us know that she is Project 1186, showing a photo of Bobby on the floor. And it's definitely just so sad to think about. And this is the very first time confirmation knowing that there was a bigger bodies for Bobby. Don't know if there's a bigger bodies for every Smiling Critters. They never really mentioned that. We only saw Dog Day, Catnap, but now we saw Bobby. I guess this makes sense why they made the Bobby plush after Catnap and Dog Day, huh? So this is still really cool, so I had to put on the thumbnail. It's definitely, in my opinion, the best page in this entire book. It is just so interesting and so sad. Pages 118 to 119 just talk about the red smoke and the side effects about it. I guess how they nicknamed it the red smoke, and of course other buildings and Playcare with some incident reports talking about the scientist, aka PW was the scientist, and how Catnap kind of went out and massacred 6 people that looked like a scene out of a horror movie. And then after that, they had to take more precautions with their bigger bodies after Catnap did that. Like, damn, man, Catnap went all out. You can read all this if you want, but it's really just this is just the short version of it. Pages 126 to 133 just talk about the train station for chapter 2, the Huggy Pit Theater, along with some theater posters, all seen in Project Playtime, and a memo we already seen before in Project Playtime. The memo in Project Playtime we already seen before is just talking about the way Huggy Wuggy's eyes look like nanny cams and how it's always following. It looks like it is. And also how Rowan was the very first victim for Boxy Boo, which we saw in the ARG for Project Playtime, which is still really cool just to see. And also, along with some other info about the Porta Lounge and how people or employees cannot take longer breaks than 5 minutes or your pay will be docked. Pages 134 to 137 just talks about the other places in Project Playtime, like the Shoya Toy, the screening room, and how it's just made to relax and watch them, stuff and just chill in the factory. With, of course, some more notes made by PW. And at the end of the book, we get to see an employee calendar of all the months and full of dates and plans throughout the year, just showing us that also June 28 is PW's B-Day, which might not seem like a lot, but it's probably interesting if we do find out his birthday in the game, and if we find out the player's birthday is the same day, we could definitely connect the dots that PW is the player, so we have to keep this in mind. But the rest of the dates of the entire whole year calendar really has nothing new on it, just about how things get canceled for other meetings that we don't know of, and just about how you know, very high security, just other things like that. And at the very end of the book, they added in an employee quiz to see if we remember things that was talked about throughout the book. There's around 15 questions they added. I'm going to show the 15 questions, but not the 15 answers. They also, the next page came along with all the answers to the page here. Of course, I didn't talk about all of them, like how many legs does PJ Pillar have. They did mention that in the book, which of course I didn't talk about. Half of this stuff is all, I mean, not half, literally all this stuff is mentioned in the book, with half of them also being in the game too. So let me know in the comments below if you have the answers to all these. You know these, or I haven't seen the answers. I already know because I kind of already saw the answers, but scoring less than 70% of the quiz may result in your termination of an employee at Playtime Co. It looks like I won't be getting terminated. Let's go. And that's it. This is the back of the book if you are curious about it. And that's it for the Poppy Playtime Orientation Notebook Explained. Deep dive look at every living secret this thing has to have. I took so long just to make and record this video. When it comes to editing, I hope the video doesn't come any later than I wanted to, because like I said, it took me a long time just to make this video, and I hope you guys really do enjoy. There are so many secrets in this book, and just get the full experience, I definitely do recommend reading it. I cannot wait until I have the book actually in hand too. But yes, this book is really good for all you Poppy Playtime fans that don't want to get caught up with all game theory, or don't want to see all the ARG news, or all the news gets lost after time. It's all in this book, and this book is not like a whole story book. It's just kind of like I said, a lore book. It is really interesting. I definitely do love this book. For being a Poppy Playtime book, I would have liked it, you know, like I said, to have a full-on story, kind of like the FNAF books. But this being just an orientation notebook, it's just really good. I like the way there's notes on it. I like the way it has lore. I like the way that it explains PW's point of view of what they do. Explains literally everything you need in just one book without having to look all over the internet just for one bit of news. And of course, a lot of new lore and stuff like that was still really interesting. But that's me for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys do think about the book. Let me know if you guys have it or if you read it, what you also thought about that. And I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe for more Poppy Playtime news. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.